I didn't expect technology to create this kind of connection. I've done videos on it. I've said many times about putting your phone down to really connect with people. Real human heart-to-heart connection. So my first week here in Malaysia took me all off guard because I had 3 different experiences in that week where I felt real connection. And if it wasn't for tech, it wouldn't have happened. So I want to share those 3 stories with you today, and stick around for number 3 because that's the one that felt so surreal. So let's get going. Story number 1. So I've been here in Malaysia just over about a week and a half now, and we started in Kuala Lumpur. How did this all come about? So if you'd seen my other videos, you'll see we've been selling everything we own in the UK to travel full time as a family, and it took a year. We were well on our way to knowing what we were doing by the end of the year, but there were still some sticking points we didn't really know. We needed a bit of guidance. We didn't know exactly where we were going, perhaps. We didn't know how we were going to finance it fully. We needed a bit of help at the time with our YouTube channels to get that growing a bit more. And we'd been following this guy called John. His channel is John Talks About. And he did exactly that. Him and his wife moved over here to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia to travel. They're not staying there, but we followed him on YouTube. And when he got himself sorted after a few months, he decided to do some one-to-one sessions with people for anything, for all those things. If you want help with YouTube, if you want help getting moved out here or living your dream, whatever that might be, help with finances, that kind of thing. He was there to do that. And he was only taking a few people on. So I said to hubby, shall we just do this? We really could do with this help right now. Just the last final finishing touches. So we did. We reached out, we had one session with him, and then he said, right, this is what we can do. So we went forward with another 3. And that was great. And we've all had that kind of connection, right? This isn't what I'm talking about in this video, though. We've all had that kind of connection where we've had a Zoom call and we felt connected with someone that's maybe on the other side of the world. We've had that. It feels good, but I'm talking about a little bit deeper. So we then had to decide where we were going to go. And we had a look at Malaysia and we thought, should we try Malaysia? And yeah, it felt good. It felt a good, safe place. It's English, a lot of English speaking, very diverse. Let's give it a shot. I've been here before, many years ago, about 20 odd years ago. Hubby has as well, a little bit more recent than that. So we thought we'd try that, we'd start here. And as we were starting here, we thought, shall we meet up with John? So that was really nice. So we planned that. He was in Thailand at the time, but coming back to Malaysia. So we timed it. We actually specifically did a week in Kuala Lumpur for that reason, to meet up with him and also to sort of decongest and decompress. So we arranged to meet him and it was so nice. I was so looking forward to meeting him after the whole thing of what this experience brings, leaving everything, leaving everyone behind, knowing that there's someone there at the other side that you could really connect with. Someone there to catch your fall, if you will. And we met him. We arrived on Friday night, late Friday night, and we saw him on the Tuesday. Him and his wife Yvonne. Lovely, lovely couple. It was a real lovely 2.5 hours we spent together. The kids were with us too. They played in KLCC Park to start with while we were chatting, and then we went for a drink. And that is one of the stories where technology has helped with real connection. If it wasn't for that one-to-one call, if it wasn't for the Zoom sessions, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have been able to have someone catch us at the end to say, well done, you're here. That meant a lot to me. It really did. To have someone here face to face that knows what we've been through and is a little bit ahead and can just say, you've got this, well done. Anything else, I'm here, So that's story number 1. Story number 2 then is a little bit similar to being at home at the UK, because we've homeschooled or home educated for 4 years anyway. So this wasn't a big jump to do world schooling for us. We already knew what home education looked like. We already met up with groups. But I managed to find a group on Facebook that then moved over to WhatsApp, and it was specifically for Kuala Lumpur. And I was like, right, okay, let's see what we can do. We only have a week here. Can we meet some of these world schoolers? And likewise, see and hear people that are doing it already and have been doing it for a long time. So they had a group in Sunway, I think it's called, which is a big water park, and that happened on Monday. We only arrived on Friday, and like I said, we're a week and a half into this now, and we're still adjusting. The whole family is still adjusting. I'll do a whole separate video on that. So Monday, to drive half the way back to the airport again wasn't going to work for us in the blazing heat that we hadn't got accustomed to yet. So we decided not to do that meet-up. But they had another meet-up on the Thursday, which was the day before we were leaving Kuala Lumpur. And so we thought, right, we're definitely going to do that one. Strangely enough, the meeting was held in IKEA. So they'd get a table, and it was board games. So you'd bring along your own board games, and the kids would play board games. No devices were allowed, and they would play board games together while the grown-ups could do their talking. And, my eldest with ADHD, autism, can be a little bit shy. She does need encouragement to meet people. But we got there, and we had something to eat, break the ice, get accustomed to the environment and the people that were on the big long table. And then I said, why don't you get out your cards? She loves toothless cards, top trump cards. So she got them out. There was a girl that kept looking her way. So I said, get them out and play with her. Just give her some gentle encouragement. And she did, because it was her thing, her toothless cards, so she loved them and she wanted to share them with other people. So they got playing, the boys joined in, and me and hubby gently manoeuvred down the other end of this long table so we could speak to the mums and dads there. And again, there was a moment where I came out, zoomed out. We talk about it a lot in mindfulness, where we zoom out and really feel what's happening in the moment. And that was a moment for me as well, where we had just arrived in this country and we were doing the thing we were doing back home already. We were meeting world schooling families, not just home educating families, world schooling families, people that were doing this, our thing that we were so scared of doing and felt so vulnerable to do. Other people were doing it, and we know that online, but we were actually there in the moment doing it within the first week of being here. And I just gave myself a pat on the back for that, I organised that, I arranged that so we could start to feel at home, whatever that is now. Now, in our first week. So, and again, without technology, Facebook, WhatsApp, that wouldn't have even happened. Okay, the biggie, number 3. This story blew my mind. Okay, so we weren't far from KLCC Park. And the first night, we didn't get to see the water fountain show. So we went down the second night, and nothing was happening quite as yet. So we needed to do some things in the mall. So we went into the mall with the intention that we're going to come out and see this water fountain show. We'd heard about it, we'd seen it online. It's this the water fountains going off with the lights and music as well. Amazing, right? So we wanted to see that. So we come out of the mall, it's now dark, and the crowds of people that were there. Now, I'd had the conversation with hubby just as we were going in, saying that there's someone I follow on YouTube called The Wandering Fool. She's Scottish as well. And she talks about these third spaces that are here. She's currently, I think, in Bali. And she talks about how in Southeast Asia, generally, this third space that they have, that is this communal space. I guess it's like the pubs back home, right? The third space of the pubs, but back home they're all closing. But in Southeast Asia, these third spaces are used heavily, and it's parks, it's just anywhere out in the open where it can attract people, and people come in droves, and there's no fear, there's no sense of danger, there's none of that. It just feels so light and happy and everything. And I found that in this story. I found it. So I walked in saying this to hubby, and I walked out and I found it. So we came out, there was crowds of people, the light show hadn't started yet, but the fountains were going with the colours, but the music hadn't kicked off. And there was crowds of people on the steps, and you had to find a little space. So there was a little space here, I'll sit down in between these people on either side of us. Hubby was stood up, and the kids were just playing down at the bottom there. And I stood there and I said, as we walked out to hubby, I said, because he's got a channel as well, Britain to Beyond, and I just said, let's not get cameras out, let's be mindful, let's really enjoy this. Let's not get phones out, let's not get any cameras out. And he's like, yeah, I agree. So we sat down in between these people, and to the left of me, there's two Chinese ladies, and they're looking over at my kids in adoration, you know, like they're smiling and they're looking at me, until eventually one of them says, cute. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then she gets her phone out and she gets Google Translate on, and she starts typing, and what is read is, she is so delicate. And I was like, oh, thank you. Then she starts talking a bit more on it. Now, I am quite averse to tech. It's not that I don't want to do more tech, it's just that it scares me, it takes me a long time to learn it, and I'm just a little bit averse to tech. But before we left the UK, my friend is actually learning Korean. She's full gone into it. Hi to Sarah. She's full gone into learning Korean, and she's doing really, really well. And she uses Google Translate, and she showed me, in our last meeting together, she showed me how to use Google Translate and how she's been using it. And I was like, oh, all right, I'm probably going to forget that. It's probably a good thing to have. I'll put it on my apps and I'll use it when I get round to it, but I won't really remember how to use it. So anyway, I knew I had it on my phone. This lady's talking to me, and I was like, I want to talk back. So I got my phone out. I broke the rule, like I said to hubby, right? And I got my phone out and I put Google Translate on, and I started messaging and showing her the phone. I didn't know how to do it. I know you can do it now. I know you can do it in a proper conversation, but I started doing it like this, and we'd show each other our phones. And this went on backwards and forwards for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And it was so, and while this was happening, the fountain show started. So you've got the music going on, the lights, the fountains making all kind of shapes. And I'm talking on some steps in Kuala Lumpur city to these two Chinese ladies. I was like, this is surreal. Like, I would not be able to do this if it wasn't for the tech. If it wasn't for my phone in my hand using Google Translate, I wouldn't be having this surreal moment right now. And it was like, again, mindfulness, it says zoom out. It was almost like an out-of-body experience where I zoomed out and I was like, is this really happening? Because it felt so connected. I felt connected to the Chinese ladies. I felt connected to the show, even though my attention wasn't fully on it. I still felt like I was with it and enjoying it. I felt connected to the city, to the people around me. I felt safe. And that's basically it. When we feel connected, we want to feel safe. So there's just 3 stories that I've got that really just opened my eyes to the fact that if technology is used right, then we can make some real connections. And I'd love to hear your stories on that. Have you felt connected because of tech? Like, if that tech wasn't there, would you not have felt that connection? And talk about it. Tell me, share the experience with me. I want to know, did you feel surreal? Did it feel surreal to you to have that connection? I'm still sitting in this. I'm still a little bit in awe of it. Like, I'm a bit cognitive dissonance, if you will. That bit where you believe something really hard and fast, and then something comes along to question that, which is what we do with mindfulness, right? We question all the time, we're curious. So something came along to question my belief, and now I'm sat in this limbo. Is tech a good thing? Can it really make connections? Is it the bad thing that I thought it was? I'm still in that sort of limbo land with it all. And that's okay. And that's okay. Sometimes we don't need to have black and white, hard and fast. Sometimes we can be in the greyness of it all. Let me know what you think. Much love. Bye for now.